another Motivation Monday. So the song that was just playing was actually called You Make Me Brave by Lakewood Worship. Have you ever had a song on like a Sunday morning at church that just reminds you of a period of time? That was actually this song. Before I went to Australia, I was super worried about like who I was going to meet, where I was going to live, what I was going to do. And this song was just the song that I completely went to all the time. It just talks about like how God sends us into waves and he calls us to do great things and calls us out to do his work, and we just need to trust in him that like he will never like leave us or forsake us. So today that's kind of what we're going to be talking about. So I just wanted to talk to you guys about being strong and courageous. And there was nobody more strong and courageous than Moses. So I just wanted to talk to you guys, and there are just a few verses that we're going to read. So the first one is Deuteronomy 31:6. So it says, "Do not be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. For the Lord your God goes before you. He will never leave you nor forsake you." And then verse 8 says, "The Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged." So at this period of time, the Israelites had been freed from the Egyptians by Moses and were in the desert before they had reached their promised land. So God had promised them this land that he had for them, but they couldn't see it. So they took this big leap of faith to leave Egypt and to go to where God promised them, but all they can see is desert. And sometimes I feel like that happens to us in our day-to-day life, that God has caught us into this big thing and like just pushed us into the waves, and then we're standing there and we're like, okay God, what next? And we start getting afraid and we start getting discouraged and we start wondering if this dream is too big for us and maybe we should just go back to where we came from. And I feel like I felt like this. I felt like anybody who has big dreams feels like this. But God commands us to be strong and courageous, and kind of to trust in him that he will never leave us or forsake us, and what he has brought us to will lead us to an expected end. And then when you're walking on this journey, sometimes you get a little bit more encouraged. You're like, yes, God has got me. God is continuing to have me. And then something else happens. And I think that's kind of what happened to the Israelites. So in Joshua 1:9, he says, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." So this is the second time. So what had happened was the Israelites Moses had died and the Israelites are following a new leader, Joshua. And they're kind of still, like something big has just happened again. The person that has led them out into the desert has just died, and God just has to keep reminding them, like, do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, I got this. God is literally saying, I got you. Like, if God got us, then we gonna be all right. And I think a big thing to remember with all of this is that we are not strong or courageous by ourselves. We're strong and courageous because God has given us this plan, because God has given us this dream, and he will never leave us because he has put us in a place where he needs us to be for such a time as this. God needed Moses to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, but he also needed the Israelites to trust in him. Not trust in Moses, not trust in Joshua, but to trust in him. Because the road would be hard. The desert, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to be living up in the desert. But they had to trust that God had a bigger plan for their lives. And I think that's a big thing with us too. We need to believe that God has a bigger plan for our lives. And we don't just trust in what we can see. We trust in a vision that is bigger than us. And that's such an exciting thing to believe in, because you know that you're not doing it by yourself, and you're not just doing it for you, you're doing it for multiple people, you're doing it for God. And I just feel like that was a huge message for me this week, and a huge message for you, to just trust in God and just be strong and courageous. I am normally a very ambitious person, a person who makes bold steps. I've never been very traditional, I've never been very gentle or very like peaceful. Like, I have always been somebody who like is ambitious and goes after their goals, but I also know that like following my God dreams is very, very different from any other thing that I've gone to. And sometimes I'm not gonna lie, I get afraid and I get discouraged, and I sometimes wonder if this is too big for me and if I'm even qualified it. But everyone keeps telling me that God does not call the qualified, He qualifies the called. So if you were called, if God has called you to bigger dreams than you can even put in words or even imagine, and you're starting to feel a little discouraged or afraid, just remember that God will qualify you. But you have to be strong and courageous and walk in Him. And even if it's little baby steps that you take every day to get closer to that dream, trust that God's got this. And so that was really encouraging to me, and just really calls me to be brave, really calls me to take those big steps. And just remember that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, that God has a call upon my life, that He loves me, and that no eye has seen and no ear has heard and no mind has conceived what God has for me. And if God has all of that for me, then I need to trust that He has that for me. And I need to trust that He has that for you too. So I'm just encouraging you guys this week to be strong and courageous, to step out in faith, to love on the Lord your God, and just to understand that you walking in faith, God will never leave you or forsake you. And that we just stand in the presence of the Most High God. So guys, I just want to encourage you guys to like this video, to subscribe, to follow us on Instagram, which you should already be doing, and to just come on board on this journey with us. Be strong and courageous with me, and become part of the Lighthouse Ministry family. I just want to let you guys know that I am thinking about you, that I'm loving on you, and that I am praying for you to be strong and courageous this week, and to just know that God is a God that understands and that loves you, and that He'll never leave you or forsake you. So guys, have an amazing week. Bye. Mwah.